So today I want to go over rewiring a Airsoft MOSFET and how to do it. So to start, this is a Perun V2 Hybrid Pro, pretty typical MOSFET. You know, this is the same across the board when it comes to Perun, Jefftron, gate, whatever MOSFET. So to start, let's say your wiring is split somewhere, so you have to rewire the Airsoft MOSFET. So when you go to remove the wiring from the actual board itself, what most people forget or they just don't know is on all of these boards they have a coating. That coating is to make sure that, you know, none of the wiring or solder joints are exposed, as well as, you know, just protecting it from, grease or water, all that stuff. So to start, you want to remove that. So what I usually use is, I use this, but if I'm removing from the entire board the coating, I just use regular acetone. It's cheaper. This is pretty much good for if you're just replacing and you don't want to recoat the entire board. But typically when I rewire, I recoat the entire board, just, you know, just to start off fresh. I don't have to worry about anything becoming damaged. So once you do that, you could actually remove the solder. So you want to heat it up. You want to get your soldering iron at the right temperature. And when you get it at the right temperature, you want to use either tip tinner or just whatever. And you want to use your solder. So my solder of choice is this Weller. You could go with lead-free, leaded wire. I go with lead-free, just a little bit better to breathe in. Although, you know, if you're soldering a lot, you do want to get a vent like over here, just to vent out those fumes. So going from that, you're gonna put a little bit of solder on the tip of your soldering iron. Typically, I recommend, if you're doing this a lot, get an actual soldering station. That way you could control the temperature and you don't need to worry about it. They're a little bit more expensive, but just one of the things I recommend. From there, use any kind of solder, sucker, whatever. I use this Weller brand. This one's pretty good. I've used Amazon ones, but after, you know, a few months, they tend to not work the greatest anymore. So you're going to use that to suck up the old solder once you have it melted, and you can remove the wire. So once that's complete, you already have the coating removed, everything. Typically since I'm applying a fresh coat, I will mask off the solder joints, because what I'm going to do is over here, this is what I use, and it functions like a spray paint can, and I'm just going to coat the entire board with a layer of that, and then that's why I have the popsicle stick attached to it. So that's what I do. And if you're just, you know, removing one wire, or you don't want to recoat the whole board, another thing you could do is get this one. Same thing, except it's applied with a paintbrush, and just put it over the solder join, and then it should be just fine. But in this case, I'm recoating the whole board, so masked off the places I'm going to attach the wire. I'm going to spray the board, and when I resolder, flux is your best friend. So I prefer, a lot of these stuff that I'm using is from the same brand. It's just quality stuff. I prefer it, but you could use whatever ones you want. If I'm doing boards like this, I like this no clean flux paste. It goes on a little cleaner, doesn't really leave a residue. So flux is going to be your best friend. All of those like stock factory solder joins, they look really clean and all of that, and they achieve that with using plenty of flux and also having your soldering iron at the right temperature. You're going to want to tin your wire, and when it comes to wiring, everyone has their choice. I like silver plated, Teflon coated Remington Industries wire. It's a little bit more expensive, but you could use anything. Make sure when you do actually tin the wire, you want to do that before actually soldering it to the board. Same thing, flux is going to be your best friend. When you're stripping a wire, one of the things you want to look out for is get an actual good wire stripper that's the right size, so you don't actually pull any of the strands out of the wiring. Now in this case, because what I use is Teflon coated, one of the things that is a kind of a characteristic of it is it's really hard to strip the wiring, the insulation sleeve on it. So I have tried regular wire strippers, and you kind of have to be extremely delicate with it, and overall it just took more time. So one of the things that I invested in was a thermal wire stripper. So these are definitely pretty expensive, but every now and then you could find one on eBay for about $100. If you do come across it, I do recommend, because basically it just melts the sleeve around the wire and make sure you don't damage the actual wire strands inside. So that's pretty much everything I do when it comes to rewiring the board. A lot of the stuff you don't have to do, but just wanted to give everyone an idea of all the steps you should be taking, especially if you're fixing a customer's gun. All the steps that you should be taking in order to prevent future issues and just be clean with the rewire overall. So, yep, thanks for watching.